So this morning it was quite fresh outside, and that's because we finally had some rain last night. Fun fact, the April just gone, it's the 2nd of May today, is the driest April we've had in the UK on record, I think. And I think that's like over 100 years. So it was very welcomed to have a bit of rain last night, and it's amazing how much you miss it when you don't have it. So this week anyway, I was thinking about what to make a video about, because looking at all the statistics of the videos we've done recently, you guys seem to really enjoy tiny house content videos, as opposed to just general like vlogging, I suppose. I have got a list on my phone of different topics to go over as and when I decide to. I'm not going to do one every week because sometimes I just quite like going out and vlogging and stuff. But I thought this week I would go over some space saving practices, just basically things that we do that save space because we live in such a tiny space. I've made a list on my phone because otherwise I'd probably forget half of them, because on the spot I tend to kind of forget things. One of the main things that we have is we have storage in our sofa and in our footstool. When we bought the sofa, we wanted to have storage in it because we needed to utilise as much space as we possibly could. And it actually took quite a long time to find a sofa that fitted in the space that we have, that also had storage, and we wanted it to double up as a sofa bed as well in case anybody stays over.
We wanted it to be high quality.
Yeah, we didn't want to just get like a cheap one. We were going to get an IKEA one.
But there were loads of bad reviews.
Yeah, it had loads of bad reviews. So the sofa we actually got came from, was it DFS? Or was it Dreams?
Dreams.
Dreams.
It's a sofa bed.
So Dreams don't actually sell sofas, they sell kind of beds and like bedding and that kind of stuff. But because this is a sofa bed, they sold this one, and the dimensions worked really well, and it's got the storage in the L bit as well, which is really useful. We tend to keep paperwork in there, and a few bits and pieces. The footstool, I think we primarily got that for the space, because it was useful to have something that we could keep things in that was also going to be used, I suppose, as a footstool. I'm really glad that we've actually got it as well, because I think without it, it wouldn't quite be so comfy. And Digby likes to lay on it as well. He has his shoes on it, and it means that we can both kind of like lounge on the sofa rather than one of us hogging the corner and the other person having to like sit upright, sort of thing. So the second thing I've got down on the list is we have our TV mounted to the wall, with our PlayStation, our Hoover, and yeah, those three things mounted to the wall means that they don't need to sit on anything, and yeah, that just kind of like makes sense really, just mounting things on the wall that can go on the wall. Yeah, that's quite an easy one. Then we've got our pan rack, which is in the corner of our kitchen. Without the pan rack, I don't think we'd have anywhere to put our pots and pans, unless we put them in the footstool and got rid of the processor, I suppose. But
I like the pan rack.
yeah, but we do really like the pan rack.
More accessible than having stuff in the footstool.
Yeah, for sure. It's really useful to be able to just like grab a pan or a colander or whatever off the pan rack and use it right next to the hob. We had a pan rack in our old house, and it was really great. So if you don't have one and you're looking for ideas just to like save bits of space, get yourself a pan rack. They're not very expensive. I'll leave a link in the description for the one that we've got, if you want to go and check that out and maybe get yourself a pan rack. And then the other thing we've got is our shoe rack and our twin drawer thing by the front door. That just kind of tidies up the area really. We put shoes in there, dog leads, gloves. I don't really know what else is in there. Just kind of stuff really. You know, you have that bowl by the front door or something where you put your keys and everything. We just kind of put it in there and it puts it away nice and tidy. The drawer unit, like I mentioned in our tour video, we use that for like storing onions and garlic in the bottom one, just because there isn't really anywhere else for it to go. And that's coupled with kind of like another drawer for like waterproof trousers, just anything really, just kind of like the outdoorsy stuff goes there. So yeah, they're quite useful just to kind of like tidy things and kind of prevent clutter, I suppose. I didn't really know if this counted as space saving or not, but we don't have a bed frame as such. But it is important to have airflow underneath your mattress, because otherwise it can get musty and mouldy, and yeah, I just think it's good to have airflow going under your mattress. We watched another YouTuber that did the same thing that we decided to do, so we kind of like stole the idea, or not stole the idea, but copied their...
We got the idea.
We got the idea and copied them. And we have this matting stuff. It's the kind of thing you get on like a bar top or in a shower or on a boat or something. And it's basically, it's really thin, maybe like half an inch thick. And it just kind of like allows airflow to get completely underneath it. If we did have a bed frame, it would be too high off the floor, and then the mattress would kind of not really fit very well. So having the matting is a really good way to save space, I suppose, as opposed to having a bed frame. And also the really low bed frames that you can buy are really expensive. Whereas I think the matting, I think for our bed and Joss's bed, I think it was like £200. Which is still kind of expensive, but when you think that the bed frames that we looked at were about £400 each, yeah, it's quite a lot cheaper. So I suppose in a tiny space with not much headroom, getting the matting stuff is really good. I can't remember what it's called.
Dry deck.
Yeah, a dry deck, that was it. Yeah, I think in America it's called dry deck. There is, I think ours might be called V-deck or something. It's like a UK version. I can't remember, but I'll leave a link in the description anyway. If you want to go and grab some of that, it's really useful and is much better than having a bed frame if you're in a small space. Okay, so moving outside. We don't have many things outside, but we do have the garden box, which kind of houses our outdoor things. So we've got a few gardening tools in there. Becky's outside chair goes in there. The mattress bit doesn't. That goes in the van because we're worried that might get mouldy. I don't actually know what's in the garden box. There's some things in there we probably don't even need, but it's just kind of like
some specialist cleaning products.
Oh yeah,
like
cleaning
use every
products.
day.
Yeah.
There's some dog stuff.
Yeah. It's just kind of like for things that we don't use regularly, but we use occasionally. So we don't really want them in the house because they'll just get in the way. So we kind of like have the garden box there, and it doesn't matter if they get like, I mean, it's not damp in there anyway, but they can just kind of stay in there. It's like an overflow storage slash outside kind of stuff. So the final thing that I think we use for kind of extra storage space slash space saving kind of stuff is the van and the car. We don't have a lot of things in the van and the car, but again, that's kind of for things that we don't use regularly, that we don't want to put in the garden box in case they go mouldy or something, such as Becky's cushion for the chair. We've got a few cleaning wipes and
Boots.
yeah, boots, waterproof trousers. Yeah, not masses really, but we've got a couple of things that we keep in there. And when we go away in the van, obviously we'll bring the things in that we don't need to take with us and then put them back in kind of afterwards. So it's quite useful to have a couple of vehicles there just for kind of like excess things.
What does the car have in it?
Not much really. It's got the blue roll in it and the bin bags. So I think that is the main things, I suppose, that we use for space saving. I can't really think of anything else. One of the main things with regards to food is we only really tend to buy food that we're going to use. So we'll do a shop every week and we'll plan it all and check what we have in the cupboards to make sure that we don't have just food everywhere. There are obviously some things that we keep in cupboards and drawers that last longer, such as herbs and spices, and a few bits like that. But generally speaking, our fridge is empty the day before we buy food, so we always kind of like monitor what food we have and don't overbuy really. I guess that kind of goes without saying, because if you just have just mountains of food everywhere, then you're just not going to have anywhere to put it. So just keeping on top of what food we have, not ordering too much, and yeah, just kind of being mindful of the fact that we don't have a lot of space, so we need to kind of use what we have rather than like tucking tins away for God knows how many months or years or whatever. I think if you're going to live this kind of lifestyle, whether it's a tiny house, whether it's a caravan, whether it's a canal boat, or any small space, you really have to harness your inner minimalist, because you really don't have a lot of space just to keep things. Over the last couple of years, we've downsized considerably from when we used to live in quite a big 3-bedroom house. I used to have about 10 pairs of shoes, just loads of clothes, and it wasn't until we moved into our last house that we realised how much stuff we actually had. But yeah, we've just downsized massively over the last couple of years, and we kind of have a general rule that if we don't use something in perhaps like a 6-month period, then we'll discuss whether or not we should keep it or not, because generally speaking, if you don't use something that often, unless it's seasonal of course, then you probably don't need it. I think you need to be quite strict on things that you decide to keep, particularly with clothes. I mean, I pretty much wear the same clothes all the time now. I have like 2 t-shirts, like 2 pairs of trousers, 2 jumpers. Yeah, barely anything really, but it really frees up a lot of space.
I suppose it also depends a bit like on thinking a bit about like what your values are. So if it is really important to have, for you to have a variety of clothes, if you're like really into fashion or something, then you need to think quite carefully before you purchase the house or the space that you're going to be living in about where it's going to go, because you don't want to feel like overwhelmed by that in the space that you're going to be living in. Because I have seen some people on the internet have like dedicated spaces for wardrobes and stuff because they're really into fashion, and so I suppose it's just about thinking about, but then, and on that point, I suppose if you want to keep those things, what are you gonna sacrifice?
Yeah.
So like it's about balance and stuff.
Yeah,
about
of course,
what you value.
I suppose if you had like, I don't know, if you played the piano or something,
Yeah.
like you might have to get a keyboard instead, or accommodate the piano and sacrifice something else. Or perhaps if your hobby is fixing cars or I don't know, whatever, you may need to rent a garage, or I don't know, but you need to think about what you're going to do for storage and everything.
Space, because it is a really small space.
Yeah,
so you
it can feel really small really quickly if you don't put things away. There's also a podcast called The Minimalists, which we started listening to about 3 years ago. And I think that kind of like really kick-started the whole thing, and they basically kind of talk about lots of things to do with minimalism, obviously. It's just quite a good podcast to listen to, really, and I think it helped us quite a lot with realising that we had too many things and how our life could be better with less things, and that kind of transitioned into eventually buying a tiny house and living in a tiny space. And yeah, I'm really glad we did, because we're both very happy here. We've got less things to worry about, and more time to enjoy doing things that we love doing. So it's a win-win, I suppose. But that's going to do it for our video this week anyway. I really hope you enjoyed this video, or learnt something, or I don't know, took something from this video that might help you moving forward. As I mentioned, I'll leave links in the description to a couple of things that we have that we think that you guys might benefit from. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. We'll catch you guys next week. I think it's going to be a hot one next week. I think it's going to be about 20 degrees. So maybe we'll go out somewhere. I don't really know. But until then, guys, safe drive, stay alive, have a lovely day. Don't forget to brush teeth and all the good stuff. And we'll see you then. Alright, bye-bye.